Very good morning, plus 2C. We are going to revise poetry today as forwarded by you all. So on the very first day, we have done all the writing skills we revised. Second day, we revised the difficult chapters, which you said third level and enemy yesterday only. And today we are going to revise an elementary school classroom in a slum by Stephen Spender. Okay. Before starting what is there in the poem, let me discuss the theme. So please firstly learn the name of the poet, that is Stephen Spender. Okay, a board is visible to you all, voice is clear. Fine, you have already informed. Okay, fine. So, miserable plight of slum children. So, this is the very first theme poet has mentioned in this poem, that how slum children, people from the poor strata of the society, are suffering. It is a vicious circle. They are stuck at a point only, and there is no chance that they can come out of that vicious circle of slum. Clear? Second theme is gap between haves and have-nots. Now, haves are the people who are already having a lot, means rich people, affluent people. And have-nots are means poor section of the society, poor people below poverty line. Okay. So this poem is going to give a glimpse of the gap which is widening day by day between haves and have-nots. You have already read it in the economics also. We discussed in detail that time. So appeal to educated society and affluent sections to improve the condition of slum children. So in all the stanzas, in the first three stanzas, poet has discussed the plight of the slum children. Then after that, he has discussed the condition of the classrooms and school where they are sitting, and condition of the individual students also, by giving various examples of various children. He has depicted the condition of kids, fine. And then after that, he has discussed, means all the problems after being discussed, all the difficulties faced by these people. At last, in the last stanza, poet Stephen Spender makes an appeal to education section of the society. Okay, it's an appeal or request to improve the condition of slum children. Fine. So he says that let them let them receive education in the lap of nature, let them get all the opportunities, let them have the access to quality education. And it is possible only affluent people of the society, like politicians, leaders, educationists, and other important people, those who have some power in their hand, they can only improve their condition. So this is a kind of appeal in the last. Clear? So this is the order which we will be discussing. Keep on sending me feedback. Okay, you might have noted down the points. Is it clear to all? Theme, shall I start discussing the poem in detail? Yes, Prabnoor. Is it okay? Fine. So Prabnoor, Gaurav, okay, they are sending me this feedback. It means they're listening. So please note down some points of this poem only. I'll be discussing literary devices used also. In this poem, firstly, you will be writing, this is the theme. Now write down some value points stanza wise, that what is there in stanza 1, in stanza 2, 3 and 4. Total 4 stanzas are there. In the very first stanza, poet has portrayed an elementary school classroom, actually, fine. And how children are sitting over there with weighed down head, with paper seeming boy, by using so many literary devices like simile and metaphor. Poet is going to explain the condition of the poverty stricken children. So poet says he pictures joyless, means they're not happy, pale children, unhealthy children, and they are, you can say, blocked down by burdens, right? That's why they're not able to concentrate on what is going on in the class. Fine, paper seeming boy. This is the example of lack of nutrition. Girl with weighed down head. That is, she is already bugged with a lot of burden in her life, that she is not able to concentrate on the education. Clear? Then means different kinds of the students, people inherit properties, but these kind of slum children, they have inherited diseases from their parents. By gnarled disease, the way they have mentioned. So they suffer from genetic disorders. Their growth is not up to the mark. They are having stunted growth. Fine. Means poet has created imagery of despair and diseases in the very first stanza by telling us, by giving us many examples of what sort of slum children are sitting in the classroom. Fine. So first stanza contains the condition of children. Okay. In the next stanza, we will be discussing condition of classroom. So very first stanza discussing the condition of children only. Clear? And in the last end of the stanza, he also says that a young and sweet boy is sitting unnoticed at the back bench, and he is just looking outside, and he wants to play a squirrels game. It means that he just wants to relish a free life, a carefree life, and he's not at all able to concentrate on what's going on in the class. And he's very sweet and being unnoticed, and he's having dreams in his eyes, dreams of living a free life. Clear? So many examples are given. Clear? Paper simming boy means lack of nutrition and stunted growth. Then gnarled disease, that describes they have inherited diseases from their fathers and parents. Clear? Then weighed down, girl with weighed down head means she's having a lot of burden that she's not able to concentrate on what's going on in the class. And then a sweet young boy sitting unnoticed, having dreams in his eyes of playing squirrel's game. So these four examples are actually representing all the slum children, those who are facing one or the other problem in their lives. And even then they are sitting over there. Clear? But they are not able to receive that education. In stanza 2, now, in stanza 2, poet is like being, this is the irony, like classrooms of the world. Now he's going to discuss what is the condition of the classroom. Poet is cynical of the way donations are bestowed upon the classroom. People in power and affluent people, they keep on donating one or the other thing to such schools. But the condition of the classroom, the kind of quality education, the kind of education, not quality education, but the kind of education they are receiving is in direct contrast with the donations present in the class. Their social and economic reality is far removed from the, you can say, we call it utopian world. I'm going to write this word, the world of utopia. Utopia means imaginary land. Fine. Utopia means imaginary land, that where everything is perfect and beautiful. And see, in the classroom, donations means donated objects like charts and displays are there. One of the charts is displaying Shakespeare's portrait. Shakespeare is considered one of the best writers, you can say, of English language. And the kind of education they are receiving is not at all, they do not know who Shakespeare is. So it is in direct contrast with that. They are having world map in their in one of the donations in the classroom, but they, that is the only window to the outside world. They have not gone anywhere except these four confined, you can say, boundaries of the classroom and their houses. So then picture of Tireless Valley is there. Tireless Valley is beautiful, very adorned with beautiful flowers, and they have not seen such kind of beautiful places. Then pictures of domes and big buildings, which is far away from the reality. Okay, you got my point? That there are donations hung on the wall, and walls are very pale, dull, as if it's been long time that they have not been painted. So very dull and pale walls, and upar se donations, and they are in direct contrast with the real picture. Clear? So utopian world of beautiful valleys and civilization and flowers and Shakespeare and world map, everything is there. So this is the world of utopia, imaginary world. But that is exactly the current condition, is the reality is far away from that utopian world. So this is that direct contrast. So all the donations can be called a mere, or you can say a fraud. Fine, it's a cheat only, that everything they have put over there, but they do not know the importance, and that is in contrast. So all the capitalists, all the people who are from affluent sections of the society are donating, but they have never checked whether they are receiving quality education or not, right? So they don't really mean to bring any transformation in the lives of these children. There is no effort made to change their lives or education system. But yes, donations are being given just for the sake of votes, maybe. Clear? So stanza 2 is just the description of the elementary school classrooms. Right? Elementary school classrooms. Then after that, you need to one. Just excuse me, students. Fine. So we were discussing, okay, in the stanza 2, second stanza is description of classroom, fine, slum classroom specifically. Now stanza number 3, clear? In third stanza, poet here reinforces what he has said earlier, and he's going to, talk about that how the contrast goes on and on, the difference is still lingering. He's going to concentrate on these affluent people, that how the world of Shakespeare and maps showing foreign lands, and that is not relevant to the underprivileged kids. They are underprivileged, fine. They are not having any sort of privilege in their lives. They are living life of ignorance. They are living life full of uncertainty. Fine, in vicious circle of poverty, they are stuck. And they are destined to struggle in a restricted existence. Poet is going to talk about the catacombs. Now, catacombs क्या होती है? Symmetry. आपको आया भी था ये word exam में. Fine, underground symmetry is called. Fine, when boundaries are made about, like you might have seen some ground, some farms, a boundary is made. Fine, that is confinement. कि यही space है limited. So catacombs, the word is depicting that. Now one student is joining. See, so this word depicts that we are having, very confined boundary. You cannot go beyond that. You cannot go out of those four walls. So catacombs is like their lives are shut. These kids cannot experience nature. They cannot experience golden opportunities in their lives. They will be stuck to vicious circle of poverty only. So in the third stanza, poet is again stressing upon the world presented to these students or these children, and only tends to tempt them. It has nothing to do with their real life, and it is just illusion. They can just dream about those things, but reality is far away from their reality. So in the third stanza also, poet stresses upon those people. Those means people with power, people, policemen, politicians, affluent sections of the society, those who have power to change. Fine, those who are the reasons for creating warlike circumstances. So poet is saying these people have the rights. They can change the life of these people, but nothing is being done. The contrast is still on. Clear? Now the last stanza, stanza number 4, here the poet appeals to the people. I told you that we will be discussing miserable plight of the children in first 3 stanzas and first the various examples. Develin, you have joined very late. So already we are about to finish this poem, elementary school classroom in a slum. In first stanza, condition of children was discussed, miserable condition. In second stanza, condition of classroom and donations. And third stanza, again stressing upon the people who are having power in their hand. Fine. And last, we are going to discuss fourth stanza now. So please pay attention. Here the poet is going to make an appeal in power to take some measures for the improvement of slum children. So he's requesting, he's appealing to the affluent people, rich people, or the people who have power in their hands, that please, you can do the improvement in the condition of these slum children. Otherwise, nothing can improve. Slum children should be exposed, and how that improvement can be made, he has given suggestions also. So suggestions are given in the last stanza, that slum children should be exposed to the green fields, fine, blue sky and golden sand. Please note down these 3 words. These three words have metaphorical meaning, different meaning. Clear? Means green fields means they should have direct approach in the lap of nature. They should study blue sky. Means they should go and explore the outer world, golden sand of the sea beaches. So it means that they should also have equal opportunities like other people. They should go beyond the catacombs. They should go beyond the confined boundaries. Okay. They should be given opportunity to read books of knowledge. They should receive quality education. Let their tongues run naked. It means let them get a fluency of education, fluency of reading, quality education. Clear? And let's dispel the darkness. Let's break the darkness and let them enter into the light. Let them run on the sands of gold. Means jahan pe direct sunlight ho, in the lap of nature. Means they should have more and more opportunities to explore the outside world apart from the confinement of the classroom. Clear? So in the last stanza, it is a appeal only. So poem centers around the miserable plight of the children of an elementary school classroom in a slum. Fine. He tells that why the gap of haves and have-nots is increasing because of the wrong policies of the government. Fine, because of the affluent people having the upper hand, and then a frantic appeal is made. Fine, to change the scenario. Only then politicians will help them. Only then it can be changed. Now, beta, literary devices used in this poem. Please note down. We have done this poem in detail. ज़्यादा करने से अच्छा है, कम करो but अच्छे से करो. So this poem you said कि ma'am we want to revise. That's why I chose this one. Now I'll be discussing with you literary devices or poetic devices. One and same thing. Here, first of all, number one, we have used simile. Simile कहाँ पे use हुआ है? Whenever they are using like or as. When comparison is made of two things by using the word like or as, that is known as a simile. Clear? In this poem, like rootless reads. Underline in your book. Second example is like bottle bits on stones. They have mentioned that they are wearing glasses which are like bottle bits on stones. Slums as big. As word आ गया यहाँ पे? As doom. Third simile की example. Fourth is like catacombs. Clear? Then see on this side. Metaphor. What is metaphor, beta? Metaphor is when comparison is made clear. First example of poetic device used in this poem is simile. Like, as. Wherever like or as will be used to make comparison, that is the example of simile. Now, example of metaphor. Metaphor is when direct comparison is made, as and like is not used. Rat's eyes. Directly, they are not saying the boy's eyes were like rats or as rats. They are saying rat's eyes directly. This is the example of metaphor. Tree room. This is also metaphor. The hiding place of squirrel. We have actually wanted to say that. Then future painted lead sky. Lead sky is also example of. Means the sky is gloomy, covered with dark clouds. They want to say So Let Sky is also example of that. Future painted with fog. Here, this is the example of metaphor. Fine. So these are the poetic devices used in the poem. Yes, Pita, now tell me any doubt in this poem? Because this poem was difficult, I discussed in detail. We have, let's see, My Mother at 66 is another poem. Okay, shall I continue with My Mother at 66? Send me thumbs up for that. Correct? Continue. If you have noted down these things, underline कर लो book में directly. You need not write. अपनी book में underline कर लो. Yes, Gaurav is saying yes. What about others? Have you noted down, beta? Others? Yes, Prabhu is saying yes. Rasika is saying yes. Divili, are you doing it? चलिए. So let's discuss in brief now. ठीक है? अब इतनी जल्दी नहीं हो पाएगा in detail, but you have done it earlier and number of times. In brief, we will discuss My Mother at 66, written by Kamla Das. So kindly note down the name. If you're having book directly, just read and learn it. My Mother at 66. So this poem actually highlights the complexities of human relationship. What is the theme of this poem? Please note down. First and foremost theme of My Mother at 66 is complexities of human relationship. That human relationship is very tedious, very complex. We want to spend time with our family, sometimes, but we are so bugged and busy that we do not get extract time. In this poem, Kamla Das is actually giving a personal account that how she has other obligations, other duties, other, you can say, engagements in life, that she could not spend the time with her mother. So this is the complexity of human relationship. Sometimes even you do not understand. So second theme is that irony of human relationship. It is clear. So poem also brings out the fact that aging is a natural process. Fine. Everybody has to grow old one day and everybody will die one day. So aging, AGE likhte hai aise, AGEING. Fine. Aging is an inevitable part of your life which cannot be, from which you cannot run away. So this will happen to everyone. No one can escape aging. No one can escape death and destruction. Nobody can escape the changes in the physical features and you can say the physical traits. Everybody will change with the passage of time, with growing age. So this is the theme of this poem. Is it clear to all? So in the poem, what is there? Poetess is traveling back in a car from her parents' place to Cochin airport. Clear? ध्यान से सुनना, you can get any MCQ based on any fact. So poetess Kamla Das, she is traveling back in a car from Cochin, from her parents' home. She has gone there to meet her parents. From her parents' home to Cochin airport, she's going, she's sitting in a car and her old mother is also accompanying her. Mother of Kamla Das is also sitting beside her. The poetess suddenly notices that she was dozing with half mouth open. When people start sleeping while traveling, so she was dozing off with half mouth open. And when Kamla Das sees that, she just was gripped with the feeling of fear, that she compared the face of the mother with a corpse. Corpse means a dead body. So she realized that how my mother is aging, how she's looking dull and pale, and she's on the verge of deathbed. So she was scared. Just to concentrate on other things, she started looking outside the window of the car. And what does she see? Mary making children, coming out their homes, young trees sprinting, running in the opposite direction. It seems that the trees are running, but actually we are going further. So there is a direct contrast between young trees and old mother, and childhood versus old age actually. So she tries to concentrate on the other part of the life. But then she finally reaches the airport. Then security check was being done again. She was standing a few yards away from her mother. Again she looks at her mother, and she was again gripped with the feeling of her childhood fear was that she will lose her mother one day. So she was again gripped with the feeling of fear that my mother is looking very dull, just like late winter's moon. So she compared her mother's face with the late winter, because late winter moon is foggy, surrounded with fog and clouds, and it is not visible properly. So she was again feel pained at being reminded of her childhood fear, but she does not want to show her agony and bad feelings or negative feelings to her mother. So what she does is she smiles and smiles and smiles. So, and she says, "See you soon, Amma." So these were the parting words of the poetess. Clear? इसमें भी simile use हुई है, comparison is made, and repetition use हुई है, smile and smile and smile. Fine. So have a nice day. Okay. So next period goes on now.